Greetings and welcome to the RC Wallet Vacuum channel. Today's video I'm just going to do a little post-mortem analysis and review of the Rovan fifth-scale tracks. Now, I've had a chance to give them some testing, and I got to do a little repair on one of them, and then I'm going to load it up and take it back up and do some more testing on it in the snow. So stick around. So I'll start off a little bit with the tracks themselves. I got these off of Rovan's website a couple years ago. I don't know if they make them or if they just market them, but they're obviously designed for fifth scale. For the most part, they have a lot of potential, and I've not really been until this last chassis design here. I've not really been able to test them fully and put them through their paces, and I've been able to do that this year, and I'll delve into that more in a few minutes here. But for now, they're actually pretty well put together. They do have bearings on all these ice wheels, which I was kind of surprised. I don't know if they're good bearings, but there's bearings in there. They got bearings obviously on the side rails and all that stuff. The one thing I don't like, and it's definitely a weak point, is the track themselves. If this was a molded track, these would be the cat's ass, I believe. Right here's where I'm having a lot of trouble with the tracks themselves. One thing I was concerned about is, like for example, you go into Rovan's website right now, you cannot even find these. It just says get on a mailing list to get updated, notify when these are available. So I assumed I was going to have problems with parts, and that is one of the second weaknesses is getting spare parts. You're on your own with these things. Now the track assemblies themselves, if this was a molded track, like I said, it would be a really nice setup, but it's not. And so my concern's been the lifespan of these pins and these side plates and the rubber inserts. Well, these pins are just 3mm by 80mm bolts, so they're somewhat easy to get. And they've proven to be a little bit of a problem. And then the other issue is inside here, these plates. These middle ones here obviously are meant to guide the sprocket up into the track, and then the outside plates are a little bit different. They're just stainless steel plates, but they're not available to replace them, and that's been a bit of a problem too. So when I switched from 8S to 12S on the Snow Rat, I was not anticipating that much of a change in performance. Well, it proved to be a mistake because I did not have all the tracks tightened up, and with just a 30-second burst of the throttle, it destroyed this sprocket. That's why the anodizing is off, because I had to go through it. It removed easily half the tooth off all around the sprocket. So I went through and built this back up with a TIG welder, and then kind of freehand ground it with a die grinder, and got it back good enough to give it a test. I got to put it on the lathe and do some corrections yet, and I'll be doing that here today in a few minutes. But so that's one key. You definitely want to make sure you keep them tight, because that will come back to haunt you. So that little oops happened right away when I first switched to 12S. I didn't want to stop testing. I wanted to keep going. So I just basically went through and cut the tracks good and tight, keep them down into the sprocket teeth. And even though there's bad sides of doing that, in other words, it makes a lot of drag on it and also puts a lot of strain on everything. And that proved to be true, because over here last time I was out, I wasn't videotaping at the time because it was snowing so hard. I didn't want to get my cameras wet. But at one point at this track, bunch of these pins bent, and actually they're already pre-bent, and then they're constantly bending back and forth, and the extra load, they all started breaking. And I replaced like 20 different pins in there, and unfortunately I was able to not lose any of these rollers, but I did lose one of these side plates. The roller I could make easy. The side plate's a little more of a problem because I don't have the material here. Now, some of these pins were already pre-bent from what I had on a previous chassis. When I was having toe-in issues on dry ground, they were derailing, and once they derailed, these pins would bend a little bit. And so those are already pre-bent, and then running it super tight to keep it down into the sprocket, they bent more of them, and it was mayhem. The other three tracks are fine, and I was running them normal tension. So certainly the two issues I've had with this thing is a lack of parts availability and a non-molded track. And I'm not sure what the cost involved with for them to make a molded track. I mean, snowmobile tracks, I think they run nylon bars across there before molding it, and they got Kevlar fiber in this direction, I believe. I don't know if you'd have to. Certainly the grouser bars would need some reinforcement over the rubber, but you probably wouldn't need the Kevlar down the track body. But I don't know if I ever see them make a molded track, or I don't know if anybody even makes a molded track version of these. I think Energy also makes tracks for these, and I haven't looked to see what theirs are. I may look into that in the future, but as far as the sprocket goes, and not having availability of that, I was able to fix it up enough to use it for now, but the plan for going ahead is to, I got a 3D solid model mostly done in Autodesk Inventor, and I'm just going to take and probably send this out and have it CNC'd and make new ones. I'll anodize it myself. And as far as what material this is, I really don't know, but I can tell you it's not 7075 because it chewed up real easy. And the other thing is I was able to weld to it without a problem. And 7075 would not have taken the welds properly. Now, I only built it up with 4043, so that's not a super tough material, but hopefully it'll be good enough to give it a test. So I got, like I said, I got them welded up, got them mostly cut in there, good enough for now. I got to go over on the lathe yet and get their heights because they will not clear. They will not clear these pins in here until I get them machined down. So let's get that set up. We'll get that taken care of. So I got the tooth that I want to match. It's already marked off right here. I'm going to use this as the guide to set the digital readout. And then it's not chucked in here all that well. Not too bad, but it could use some better chucking up in there, but I have to do for now. So I got to be careful when I bring this thing in. I got to bring it in real slow. I don't rip anything off of here. I gotta give Rovan credit. They got that wheel is pretty stable. Oh, wobble of that. That's after being heated for quite a bit to weld it too. Well, it does seem like welding these teeth back up there, it has worked pretty well. I'm not really sure how that was going to go. Now it's been run through the lathe and got them all matched up. This right here is probably this profile is probably the closest to a stock one. Right here I'm a little wider up on top, but right around here was the wear line. About that much material had been taken off them teeth. It made quite a mess. Actually, it's probably just a little bit above there, right at the top of that line. So the rest of that's all new 4043 material. So let's see if these things will fit inside the side plates and spin. Oh yeah, should be good to go. So I'm gonna finish putting this thing together and then load it up and take it up and see what else I can freaking break. We're up here on the trail now. Groomer was just through here. It's a nice smooth trail. I want to get this done early in the morning before it gets totally insane out here with the snowmobiles, because it will. Let's see how this sprocket holds up. And see what's the next thing to break. The conditions are perfect for it now. Except for when it rolls. I gotta shorten these cables up on this anti-roll thing. Almost seems like that front anti-roll came apart again. Great turning radius. It's actually working pretty good today. steering. Once you dig down in it, it's really deep around here. And it's the same thing too, this anti-roll in the back is still not right yet. She's a pig. Still wants to cog a little bit. My track's probably starting to get frozen up. You don't want to do that. Don't know why it's doing that. It's possible that Max 5 is a little underpowered for this. I don't get too much runtime out of this, so I'm probably not going to get a whole lot more run before I get to recharge the batteries. Definitely you bring the throttle up slow at first, then hit it. The ratcheting don't seem to be as much of an issue. I'm making a mess of this newly groomed trail. But the anti-roll is definitely not set right yet. I gotta shorten them cables way up. Ay, ay, ay. That's where we're going to park it. I'm probably out of battery. So the primary thing I wanted to test today was to see if it's feasible to weld teeth back onto these sprockets, because these tracks, since you can't get spare parts, you got to be able to make your own and fix what's there. So I want to see if that's feasible or not. And that seems to be successful. Got another broken pin. This is one of the earlier stock ones I did not get replaced. And then this clip here. Its mate is the one I lost last time I was up here. It feels like there might be a broken pin in there too. But the teeth held up. And this track had loosened up quite a bit, and it was getting ready to ratchet up and out of there. It may have actually ratcheted a little bit, but those teeth held up pretty good. So, I mean, it was only 40-43 I welded it on there with, so it leads me to believe that whatever this base metal is here is mighty soft, because it came off there real quick. So the spring's just around the corner, so it's probably the last test with this, but it gave a good test bed to see whether this is feasible or not. So I'm going to be pulling this subframe off here. I'm going to be converting this thing over to a, have you ever seen the Formula Icelandic off-road racing hill climb type stuff? I'm going to convert this thing over to kind of model along one of those, put panels on it, and I'm going to build a new subframe, because this one here is not meant for heavy rolls, so I'm going to build a new one that's going to be good heavy duty for rolling down the sides of hills. So that'll be coming up here this summer. So if you think of putting tracks on your vehicle, these two Rovans, be prepared to do some work on them to get it to work. But in the meantime, thanks for watching.